At the outset, let me thank Deva and his team for inviting me to this meeting. I must congratulate IPH for organizing such a wonderful meeting. And to see so many of you at the end of 2 days, I think speaks much for the quality of the meeting and that you are still interested and awake. Now, I've been given this difficult task of trying to summarize all that we have said in the last 2 days. And I'm sure many of you will identify some of the issues which you felt were important not being mentioned. Please do feel free to share it with us at some stage. The way we will do this is that I will make a summary of some of the proceedings that we've had, and then I'll invite the panelists and request the panelists to comment on it. It's interesting that just before this session, Mrs. Saraswati brought up an important issue. Okay, we've heard all this, what are we going to do? I think that's what we hope the panelists will give us some idea as to how to go forward. The journey is always long, and it begins with the first step. And I think that we realize that as far as health is concerned, we have a lot of things to be done, and so we need to make sure that we take it step by step. I know there's a lot of pessimism in the field saying that we are not seeing changes. As a person who's got gray hair and have been involved in community health for more than 35 years, I can see the change which has taken place. And so, though we do not see the change as rapidly as other things, I always tell the students, in public health, the change is slow. Whereas in curative medicine, you do a surgery and you can see the person recovering all of a sudden. So we have to be patient, but doesn't mean that we be passive. And I hope that as a result of what we have now said, we can move forward. Well, I'm sharing with you. Yeah, let me just highlight some of the findings. You want to say? Okay. Yeah. There are some issues which were easier, and we felt that some things have been done, and so maybe there was not necessary for major policy changes. And some of this was that the government needs to develop a training strategy at all levels. I think this was very clearly mentioned, and I think it's not something that is difficult to do. And because unless they have this strategy, we will not have the people to do it. Because there must be, as we said, there must be a promotional avenue for people, and also a means of training them for different areas. Some steps have been taken, but we need to see how this can be taken further. Promoting institution delivery should be accompanied by quality care at the facilities. I think this was mentioned again, that we may have a large number of deliveries taking place in hospitals. And I have good examples of where we've seen places where deliveries numbers has increased, as was shown. But we've also noticed that because of the pressure to have deliveries done in hospitals, and especially in some states, to have it done in the government hospital and not in NGOs, that there has been a problem of an increase in perinatal mortality and also stillbirth. So we have to be also careful that, as we said, targets are good, but we also must see the process that is followed and also look at the outcomes. And the moment we see that the outcome that we are getting is not what we expect, then we should be able to look at it and see what is the problem. Now, output monitoring is important, but the process and quality is equally important. And I think this is just emphasizing what I've just mentioned earlier. Now, managerial competence is required at all levels, and I think this has been well brought out in several of the presentations, whether it be financial management, use of HMIS. Now, we just had a presentation of how one could use the telephone. Great, we can get the data. But then the next question is this data used, and how much of the data is used, and what are we using it for? So I think the health management information system must be linked with whatever system we may come out with, I mean, telephone system, the mobile system to get the data in is great, but at the review meetings, are we using it? I think that's an important issue that must be asked, and that's something that also must come out as a policy. So also, I think with the NRHM, we realize that there is so much money available, but some of the faculty, because of lack of managerial skills, do not know how to use it. But it's interesting, if you will look at it, we see that during the last 4 years, there has been a tremendous change. So we are at the stage where the change is taking place, and I'm sure that with better policies, a little bit more of encouragement to the staff, we will see much more improvement in this. There must be a clear health policy required regarding job descriptions, because with the job descriptions are not clear, then you do not expect your workers, they are not sure what they should do, and I think it came out some of the presentations, the ASHAs did not know what their role was, the ANMs did not know what the ASHA's role was, and so if that is not clear, there will be problems. There should also be an induction program. We mentioned this, though there it's in policy, but it's not being implemented. What should be done? What can we do? What are the changes that we need to introduce to ensure that this is done? There should be promotion, avenues, and career development. We all, I mean, all of us sitting here are continuing to work where we are because we know there is something to look forward to. But you must realize that the same is true of the worker starting from the grassroots level. Equity is social exclusion needs to be monitored carefully. I think we came out with this very clearly, that we talk of equity, but in the many of the programs that we have, there are certain issues where certain groups are being excluded, especially the poorest of the poor, and that needs to be addressed. What further policy changes do we need to ensure that? To reduce the out-of-pocket, that's a nice one, by more resources, more fairness, and more efficiency, right? So what should be done? I think this is an issue which probably, again, we'd like to get from the panel some comments on this. What should be done for this? There were some suggestions of, instead of having health insurance, whether we should go for a system of payment for service. Access is more than health financing, and there are social issues. I think this came out again in KS's Jacob's presentation, as well as many other issues. But how are we going to take this forward? We know these are problems. How can we now convert this evidence that we have into policy and into practice? There is good evidence, and again today we had some good data to show that community-based monitoring has made a difference. And we need to continue, we need to improve. Again, with new technology, I think that is important. The new technology must be used to have a very quick turnover of data. Previously, data took a long time. Now with computers, we should be able to get the workers to look at the data immediately and say whether the decision can be taken at the grassroots. Do all decisions have to be taken at the PHC or the CHC or the district? I think that is what we need to see. How can we convert this also into this policy issue? Now there are certain other questions which came up, which we need questions to the researchers, where we need more. Maybe at the next meeting, this is a good beginning that we've had, where we talk about evidence for policy. We've got some evidence. We know that there are many more issues which we need to address. And we hope that at the next meeting, that some of these questions, I think it's being unfair to expect all the questions to be answered in the next few years. We are being too ambitious. We know we are dealing with the difficult situations. And so these are some issues that, again, we hope panelists will address. Involve the private sector proactively, for example, Clinical Establishment Act. I think this is an important issue, but we know that the private practitioners have a lot of power, and to get the Clinical Establishment Act is one thing, but to ensure that it is enforced is another issue. So what can be done? How can we move forward? I think it was very interesting, this last presentation we had about the empowerment and how the RTI Act is being done. A small example, but from that small example we can learn more. Inputs of health research without addressing retention factors, the human resources without addressing retention factors may not achieve desired results. I think what can we do to retain people? Very often, especially with WHO and UNICEF, taking off the best of our staff, right? Because they're saying, how do we retain them? Because it's not always money. that retains people. It is also the fact that they feel satisfied in what they are doing. If you can give them a pat when they do well, that's all they may need, instead of always finding fault with them. So we have to come out with some systems. I know that some states have an award given to, starting from the A&Ms to the doctors who have performed well. Maybe that's all that you need to retain them, that they are being recognized for what they've done. So can we come out with some policies, some systems by which we can help to retain them? Task shifting needs to go beyond shifting technical skills and to factors like accessibility and acceptability. We realized that we had a good system of now training MBBS doctors to do obstetrics, to be able to do a cesarean, to give spinals. In the same way, you're training A&Ms probably to do one step more than what they've been doing till now. Yes, so these are good. And we also must to make sure that these services are accessible. That's why, again, it was very interesting to hear Dr. Jacob's presentation of what happened in Kerala. You have trained people, but then if they're not accessible, for whatever reason, maybe their communication is poor, maybe they're not there when they're required, then it doesn't help. So what do we do to ensure that we have a system by which both accessibility and acceptability? And acceptability depends a large extent on the attitude of the worker. And that's why a doctor, a patient may like to go to an MBBS, may go to an Ayush person because they communicate better. So we need to look at that and see how that is to be done. Now, the Bachelor of Rural Medical Medicine, Medical and Surgeons now was an issue which was discussed at length. And this is something, again, that we have to come out with a policy. Now, do we have a national policy for this, or do we have a state policy? Because it may be essential in some states, may not be essential in some states. So again, so there needs to be very clear policy on this. But once you have this policy must also look at the possibility of what happens to them in the future. What is their promotional avenue? Or are they also going to be a group of disgruntled people because after a few years, they are stagnant? So when a state comes out with this policy, that we must also look at this and see whether that will make a difference in the implementation. The second issue related to this is, here is a program which has started recently. And I hope some groups will start evaluating them and seeing what happens, especially in the 2 states where this has been already implemented. We should get an evaluation. Are they doing as well as we anticipated? Are they having problems? What are the problems? And if so, then we can look at it and see what more can be done. Now, we had a lot of discussion about the health insurance scheme this morning, that it needs to be integrated into the overall health financing system. And I think, again, we'd like to hear from the panelists about what they feel, because we have some of them who have studied this in great depth. And there are certainly a lot of problems related to this. And the question that was brought up was whether instead of health insurance, we should have a system of purchasing of healthcare. So again, I hope these 2 issues will also be discussed by the panelists. Now, we already had some examples of how to strengthen the Rogi Kalyan Samitis. Again, we must learn from these micro studies and then think of expanding them. So again, this is something that again we can look at and discuss in a little more detail. The Village Health and Sanitation Committee can support local health service. To what extent are they doing it? It will be good for us to look at some of the states, just like we've had some reports, and see why they are not functioning. Do they know their role? Do they know their responsibilities? Or is it a committee which is formed as a namesake, as we see in many communities, and they just get together without knowing their responsibilities and their rights? Purchase of healthcare has already been mentioned, and that's an issue that needs to be also addressed. And of course, we had this excellent presentation just now about transparency, fraud, grievance and redressal and mechanism in the last session. And this again, I think, is something that what can we do as a policy? And a very difficult thing, the question was asked, okay, this is a problem. And the question that was asked by you all was, what can we do? So let's see whether something can be looked at as far as that is concerned, as well as the right to information for improving health service. We got one example, and I think we need to look and see what else we can do to do this. Thank you very much.